This is video lecture number 8 for Anatomy Basics, and this is the last video lecture for this unit. So we are going to cover the rest of the organs of the digestive system. So we are going to talk about the liver, the pancreas, the small intestine, and the large intestine. And then we are also going to cover 2 nutritional disorders that have to do with the digestive system. So to start, we're going to talk about the liver. The liver is the largest organ in your body. It has really important functions, the first of which is that it stores carbohydrates. And if you remember back to Unit 1, there is one carbohydrate that stores energy in animals that is called glycogen. Your liver, one of its main jobs is to store a lot of excess sugar and excess fats as glycogen, which is going to be pulled upon when we need extra energy, okay? And in this way, your liver helps to control blood sugar. So when your blood sugar is really high, your liver kind of kicks it into overdrive, taking a lot of that excess blood sugar and turning it into glycogen or storing it as glycogen. And then when your blood sugar is really low, your liver can then pull from those glycogen stores to help increase your blood sugar and kind of keep it stable. It also has a huge job in breaking down toxins like alcohol. If you ever take medical terminology with me, we talk about what alcoholism and drinking excess alcohol does to your liver. Just a little sneak peek. Since your liver, a big job is to break down alcohol. If it continuously is breaking down alcohol because you're an alcoholic, it actually really harms your liver, and your liver starts to harden, and that's called cirrhosis. And a lot of alcoholics actually die from cirrhosis because once your liver hardens, it kind of stops working, and once enough of your liver stops working, it can actually kill you. So liver is super important. Again, the largest organ in your body, stores carbohydrates as glycogen, controls your blood sugar, and breaks down alcohol. The next organ we're going to talk about is your pancreas. It has some really important functions as well. So the first one, you'll notice in the diagram, it's located just underneath the stomach. So any contents in the stomach, before they enter into your small intestine, are going to kind of merge with whatever your pancreas is producing. So your pancreas produces a fluid called pancreatic fluid that is going to neutralize the acidic contents of your stomach before it enters into your small intestine. So the reason for this is because your stomach contains that really strong hydrochloric acid. If that just went from your stomach into your small intestine, it would actually kind of eat away at the walls of your small intestine and eventually probably produce holes in your small intestine, which is very dangerous. So your pancreas is going to neutralize the hydrochloric acid so that it's not nearly as acidic, so that it prevents those contents from eating away your small intestine. So your pancreas is really super important. It also helps to regulate your blood sugar by producing a hormone called insulin. Insulin is going to help your body cells start taking in glucose that your body is kind of producing from breaking down the foods that you're eating. So it prevents your blood sugar from spiking, and it's super important with the regulation of blood sugar and also the prevention of diabetes. Small intestine is the next organ. The small intestine is the longest organ in your body. Even though it's called the small intestine, it is actually the longest. It is 21 feet in length. It's called the small intestine because it has a smaller diameter than the large intestine, but it is actually longer. And you can see in the diagram, it's just kind of folded and kind of woven around itself in your abdominal cavity. this is where the final stages of digestion take place. Peristalsis that we talked about in the last video, those waves of muscle contractions and relaxations to push food through a tube, continue in the small intestine. Otherwise, the food would just kind of sit in your small intestine for days if it ever left. And while the peristalsis is pushing food through, your small intestine is absorbing a lot of the monomers from the food that you are breaking down, and it's releasing them into your bloodstream to be brought to the cells of your body to be used however they need to be used. Okay? So digestion happens in your small intestine as well as the beginning of absorption. Your large intestine is the last organ we're going to talk about with the digestive system. It wraps kind of around the small intestine, is kind of like a border around your small intestine, and that is actually how it works. So it kind of starts on your lower right hand side. That is where your appendix is located. So right by that arrow on the diagram, you can see kind of a little tail. That's your appendix. We don't have a function for your appendix, but sometimes bacteria can kind of infest itself in there, and your appendix can get infected and burst. So if you ever have pain kind of in your lower right hand side of your abdominal cavity, it could be your appendix that you might need to get checked out. But if you put your hand in your the lower right of your abdominal cavity, your small intestine is going to go up. So if you draw your hand kind of up towards your pecs, it's going to go towards the left. So it's going to travel, if you bring your hand from the right side of your upper abdominals to your upper left, the large intestine goes over there, and then it's going to go down to the lower left of your abdominals, and then obviously it's going to snake out into your anus. So the function of the large intestine is just absorption. So this is where all the vital minerals, vitamins, any excess water is absorbed into the body. So your large intestine is really, really important. And you have a bunch of bacteria in your intestines that are going to help to digest material that you might not be able to digest on your own. But any undigested material, we call it feces, is going to obviously then exit your large intestine. Okay? So that's it for the organs, but we are then going to now cover two different nutritional disorders. We're going to cover something called undernutrition, and we're also going to talk about malnutrition. So undernutrition is kind of exactly what it sounds like. It's where you don't get enough calories in your diet. So if you think of the eating disorder anorexia, that is a form of undernutrition. You're not eating enough calories. So what happens if you're not eating enough calories, your body needs energy from somewhere. So your body actually starts kind of eating itself from the inside. It starts breaking down its own protein for fuel. So it starts breaking down any muscle. Well, it starts with fat, but when you stop having fat, then it starts breaking down your muscle. And eventually, over time, if you don't get enough calories, it's going to start breaking down your own organs for energy, which eventually could kill you. Okay, so that's undernutrition. The other nutritional disorder is called malnutrition, and this is just where you have some sort of a diet that's lacking one or more essential nutrients. So for instance, if you are lacking vitamin C in your diet, you are not getting, or that means you're not getting enough vitamin C, then you can develop a disease called scurvy. And if you are not getting enough protein, it can cause you to actually become very bloated. So I'm sure that you've seen pictures of starving children over in Africa. It looks like they have these pregnant bellies. They're not pregnant bellies and they're not fat. That's actually water retention So these children are not eating enough protein in their diet, so their body is just kind of carrying all this water because of the lack of protein, and it causes them to look like they have these big stomachs, but really that's just water that if they were to get enough protein, that would be flushed out of their system. Okay, so undernutrition, you are not getting enough calories in your diet, and your body starts to kind of eat itself. It breaks down its own protein for fuel. And malnutrition means that you're lacking one or more essential nutrients, which then can cause some disorders and diseases and issues with your body because of that lack of nutrient. Okay, and that is it for video lecture number 8, but that's also it for the entire Anatomy Basics unit.